The name of this compound that you are able to see here is called propene. This is the name. How did I know that this is propene? There is something that you need to understand. There is what we call the homologous series. This is a series that gets to tell us where a specific organic compound we are talking about belong to. So now you now discover that propene belong to a certain group or to a certain family under the homologous series called alkenes. So the propene belong to this family called alkenes. And one thing you need to remember is that these ones get to have a double bond. So this compound is called an hydrocarbon. How is it called, or why do we call it an hydrocarbon? Because it is just containing hydrogen and carbon atoms. It is just containing these two. These are the only two elements that you are able to see, hydrogen and carbon. So any organic compound that will contain carbon and hydrogen atoms only, it is called an hydrocarbon. So this is an hydrocarbon. And the reason why it is called propene, it is because it is having a what? A double bond. So among the hydrocarbons that we get to have, whenever you just notice a double bond, just know that we are talking about what? A propene or an alkene. How is it called a propene? Because we are having how many number of carbons? 3 carbons. So whenever you've got 3 carbons like this, 3 carbons, just know that the name should start with propene under alkenes. And how many atoms of hydrogens? You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are having 6 number of what? Hydrogens. So this is the chemical formula that you are supposed to understand. You may be having certain contradictions that how come this one is having a double bond also, but it is not falling under this family. This one also gets to fall under a specific family. So the family that this one will belong to is called carboxylic acids. Gets to belong to this family that I call carboxylic acids. So all carboxylic acid will have something like this, COOH. Have you seen? This is what you need to understand. They will all end with COOH. As you can see, there is COOH here. This is to tell you that the O that is here, OO, there is a double bond. So this one, that's why we get to write it like this. C like this, then a double bond there, then this one comes here, OH. This is the reason why we get to write it like that. So whenever you see COOH in a compound, these are organic compounds. Just know that we are talking about what? A carboxylic acid. This is an acid. And whenever you just see the OH group, the moment you just notice the OH group in an organic compound, I'm talking about organic compounds. Some people can be confused. You just see something like this, then you say, okay, Tutor Harrison said that this is an alcohol. No, the moment you just notice, these are called organic compounds. So the moment you in an organic compound, you see OH group, just know that we are talking about what? Alcohols. These are called alcohols. The other name for alcohols, we get to call them what? Alkanos. So this is just one and the same thing. These are some of the things that you need to know. These are some of the things that you are supposed to understand. So all these, you are supposed to study them. You are supposed to understand them. And these are questions that get to come in an exam. So now, what is the name of this same alcohol that I've talked about? And what is the name of this same carboxylic acid that is here? There is something interesting that you need to know. There is something important that you need to understand. I'll go back to this and I'll give you other more compounds that you are supposed to know. I want to open up your mind so that organic chemistry becomes simple to you. You must be able to identify organic compounds. So now, this one that is here, if I was to write this, have you seen the way it is? I'm having carbon here surrounded by how many atoms of hydrogen? 1, 2, 3. So I'll say H, then I say 3 like this. Then I'm going to say OH. This is what you need to know and understand. This is what we get to mean. So this one is the what? This one is the chemical formula. So whenever you are talking about alcohols, alkenes, and alkanes, if the name here, if this one here, if you are just having one atom of carbon, the name that gets to start with is called meth. We always start with meth. Have you seen? So when the carbon atoms are what? Are 1. So if the number of carbon is 1, the name starts with what? Meth. But under alkenes, we don't have something called methane. We don't have methane because I've told you that we need to have a double bond between carbon to carbon atoms. Now, how can you have a double bond when you're just having one carbon? So that's why this we get to start with what we get to call ethene. We always start with ethene. This is the first member of alkenes, because we are having two what? We are having two number of carbons. So if you are having two number of carbons, and the chemical formula that we get to talk about is this one. You just say this is the general formula for all alkenes. So this is how you get to identify them. This is how I get to know these things. So 3, have you seen 3? I know that the name should start with pro. Since they all end with this word here, have you seen there is this keyword here? This is how you can identify them. So now 3, number 3, position 3, the name starts with propene. So propene, carbon 3, meaning that the carbon is 3. The same 3 you multiply by 2. That is how you get a 6. You go to this one, you say H, then you say 2 times 2, you get a 4. So this is the chemical formula for what? Ethene. This is how you get to identify these. So whenever we go to an alcohol. When you go to an alcohol, there is something that you need to know. There is something that you need to understand. So what you need to understand is this. The same thing will follow. Whenever we are talking about the number of carbons, if there are 2, which means that the name should start with eth. Have you seen eth? And if there are 3, if the number of carbons are 3, meaning the name should start with what? The name should start with prop. If the number of carbons are 4, the name should start with but. So this is but. I want you to understand this. So how can you identify this one that is here? How can you identify this one? So for you to identify this one, you need to know this. This is what you need to know and understand. So this is what you need to get. So these names, you are supposed to know them. So what you are going to do, how many number of carbons are you having here? 1. So definitely you know that the name is what? Methanol. Straight, you go to the point. This is called what? Methanol. There is OH here. There is what? There is OH here. This is what you need to understand. There is OH group there. So this one is called what? Methanol. This is the name methanol. We move to this other one. So I'm going to explain all this. You just need to follow me on my platforms where I get to explain. You are going to understand this very well. So now, we now go to this one that is here. This one is a carboxylic acid because there is COOH. This is a carboxylic acid. What is the name of this carboxylic acid? So what gets to happen is this. This is what gets to happen. I'm going to tell you this. When an alcohol reacts with atmospheric oxygen, what gets to happen is that it is going to turn into a carboxylic acid. A carboxylic acid is going to be formed. So when a carboxylic acid is formed, this carboxylic acid, so this is an alcohol, meaning the number of carbons will drop by 1, hydrogens will drop by 2. So this one will drop to go and form a functional group, which is COOH. So now what will happen is this. This one is going to drop. So we are going to have H. We've dropped 2. So I've remained with 1. I say C, the one that I dropped, the C there that I dropped. Then have you seen the oxygen comes here and OH goes there. Where is this oxygen coming from? Because it is reacting with what? Atmospheric oxygen, meaning one atom of oxygen comes here and this one follows OH, and there is water that is produced. So this is the compound that is here. If you look at this compound and that one, they are just the same. So I'm going to explain this in a way that you get to understand. This may be a bit confusing, but if you sit under my lessons, you are going to understand them better. We are going to go deeper in this. You are going to know them. You are going to understand them clearly. But this is what you need to know. This is the few information that you need to understand. So if you want tuitions in mathematics, chemistry, and physics, you can WhatsApp me on this number. I'm going to add you to the group. Mathematics is only 100 kwacha monthly, where I get to teach on a daily basis. Even science, I get to teach on a daily basis. Mathematics, we start at 20 hours. Chemistry, physics, we start at 21 hours on a daily basis, Monday to Friday. So this is the number to WhatsApp. Don't forget to follow me on this platform. Thank you so much.